Hello everyone. Let's continue with the loops. In today's lecture, we will try to cover up the loops in C Sharp. C Sharp does support four type of loops in the language. The first one is very basic one, which we call is for loop, and then we have for each loop, and then we have do loop, and then we have do one loop. Actually, this one is while loop, and then we have do while loop. Okay, so let's go one by one with these loops. Let's go first with the for loop. So, okay, before going further, let me just quickly tell you about the loop. So a loop is like when you want to repeat something again and again, and if you know like how much is going to be the iteration, or if you know the condition of the iteration, that this iteration should be in the loop until a certain condition met. Okay, let's go further. For example, I want to print something, and for loop has three different parts in it. The first one is like you define the variable. This is optional, the way like you can actually define the variable outside if you want. And then you define how long or until what condition you wanna continue this loop. So for example, I want to continue this loop until my variable a is less than, for example, 11. So technically this is right, but we will actually discuss the central part again. And then I say like in each iteration I wanna do an increment in a. So this is my very first loop. So basically this is we can write this one a little bit in a different way. So I can say like if the value in a is less than or equal to 10. So unless this condition is true, this whole loop will run, and anything inside these brackets and this scope will be executed. And as soon as this condition is false, this will be terminated. So for example, what I want to do, I just want to write a console line, and I want to say iteration, and then I want to write the iteration number. And as we already discussed how to write a line and pass the arguments, and this time I'm gonna go with the argument a. Let's run it and see. Okay, it's building, taking some time. And here you can see we have iteration 1, 2, and same goes till 10. And as soon as it turns out after 10, it's terminated. Okay, this way we cannot know the value of a here, because if we wanna know like what was the value of a when the loop was terminated, we cannot do it because this is a local variable here, and the body or the scope of the variable is inside this loop. Okay, let's make it a bit different here. What we do is we define a outside the loop block, and we assign an initial value, but we cannot actually declare variable a here because it's already declared. What we can do is like in the beginning of the loop, we assign a value. We started from 1 and then we go until 10. Okay, we're also writing value of a after the loop. Let's see how it turns. It should be actually 11, because when it's 11, then this condition is false and is outside the loop body. Okay, let's run. And here you can see like the value of a is 11. That's why the loop was terminated. Otherwise it would go inside and just do its job. Okay, so that was the first loop. Let's talk a little bit more about this part. So for example, if you have initial value in the variable here and it's the same, or you don't want to declare it here, that's optional. You can actually avoid it or just ignore it. But the thing is that thing to remember is like you need to put the semicolon here because this way you tell the compiler to take it like that. The first part is your initialization, and it will say like, okay, the variable is already declared, and then you say like, okay, I want to go like that, my condition should be here. And then this is the third part where you are doing increment. So technically this is all right, fine. Usually you use it most of the time like this, but sometime in the program you need to do some conditional increment. For example, if certain condition met, then you want to do the increment. Otherwise you don't want to do that. In that case you can do the same way, and you select a++ here, and that will also work. Okay, let's hit run and see if it works. And yeah, it works perfectly like that. And this way here, sorry, I press saving the output. Yeah, so this way you are telling the compiler to do the increment here, and it's going further. Yeah, one thing to remember, you have to actually increment this, otherwise this will be inside an infinite loop and it will never go outside it, and it will never execute the other one, and it can just cause infinite loop, and it might cause some system failure or memory overload. Okay, so the first one was for loop. Let's talk about for each. So for the second part, I'm gonna comment this one because I don't want to mix it up with the other one. There is a shortcut for the comment. You can press Ctrl K and C, and it will comment the selection of the lines you already selected. Okay, let's go for the second one, which is for each loop. So for each loop is similar to for loop, but it usually is meant for a collection, and because we didn't discuss collection for the moment, just take it if you want to do iteration over a list of anything or arrays of anything. So for the simplicity, right now I'm gonna go with an array of integer, and I'm gonna call it simply array, and I want to initialize it with some numbers inside. So I'm gonna go with 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10, and you can see like sorry, you need to actually initialize it with this way, and because it's an array, and you can initialize it like that. Now it's already an integer array. Okay, so we got an array, and now what we want to do is like we want to iterate on this array. It's very simple. So what we do, actually if you write just for, it will give you this nice IntelliSense, and if you just press tab button twice, it will just fill out this like suggested snippet of the program. And here it's doing variable, which is actually variable is any type. So you can, for example, if you put array here, it will consider item as an integer. And how it works is like it actually iterate through all the items available in that collection, and as array itself is a collection, it will go through these items individually, and it will do the processing which we will define here with those items. So right now, okay, let's make it simple and change the variable to integer, because we didn't cover variable yet. So what I want to do is like I want to make a table of, let's make it super simple. Let's say I want to make it console write line, and what I want to do, I want to take any of this number, for example item, I want to multiply it with 2, and then I want to print the result. So how it's gonna be is the first argument is gonna be item itself, and the second one, which is the first index, is gonna be the product of item multiplied by, And here, just remember, don't put x here. Instead, use steric, which is a sign for multiplication in C#. And then here we are multiplying that number with 2. And now let's hit run and see the output. As you can see, it actually took all of them individually and it actually just multiplied them with 2, and here we can see the result. And to see if it really is working on and as an iteration, let's remove the last one, which is 10, and try to run it again. I'm gonna close this one and I'm gonna run it again, and you can see like it just automatically iterates through the collection, and it's doing the processing we actually define here. This is just optional. You can just go with the simplest method, which you can just print out whatever is in the item. So for example, just like we did here. So I'm gonna go here. I will just put item, sorry, it's one bracket before that. So I'm gonna put item and let's hit run. It will go from 1 to 9, will print all of them. Pretty easy, isn't? Cool. I'm gonna comment this one as well. And let's move to the third one, which is while loop. So while loop is also pretty simple, and to understand it very easily, I'm gonna go write while and I will press tab twice. It will fill out this pretty cool snippet here. So it's pretty simple to understand, like the keyword while, which is a loop, it will run until this part of this code here is true, and then it will do the execution inside that. And to make it more simpler, let's introduce a variable. I'm gonna call it iteration. I will actually initialize it with, let's say, 1. So what I want while iteration is less than or equal to 10. I want to do something here, and to do so I will just take this console line, I will copy it here and I will paste it here, and instead of item I will put iteration and I will just print the iteration. And here is one mistake usually people do. What is that? I put my variable initialization here, I put the condition as long as this while loop should run, but what? Because after this console line, my iteration will be still 1 because I didn't increment it, and it will go back, it will still be true, and it will still print and will go back, and it will be like kind of infinite loop, will never end. So what I need to do here is I need to actually increment it every time after this right line, so that after 10 iterations it should just quit the loop. Okay, let's hit run and see if it works. Ta-da! It works. Perfect. Okay, so this was also pretty simple, and the last one is do while, which is pretty similar to the while loop. And to demonstrate that one, I'm just gonna commit this one and I will keep the variable iteration. And the fourth one is do while. And to demonstrate this one, I'm gonna go with the same technique, which is like I wanna put do and will press tab button twice, and it will fill out the snippet for do while loop. And as you can see now, this true here is my condition, like do something, whatever is here inside, while the condition is true. And I will actually tell you the difference between while and do while after this demonstration. And I want to put the same thing here and here. And what I will do, I will actually print something. I will print the same thing. And I will actually also copy the increment of iteration here, so that my loop is actually running 10 times only. And I will press run and I'm expecting the same output like before. And yeah, actually it got the same output. Okay, so now let's talk about the difference between while and do while. So there is a pretty unique difference between while and do while, which is, for example, if you go with the while loop, for example, I'm commenting this one. Sorry, that went wrong. I was supposed to remove the comment, and to do so I need to, no, it's not taking it, so I need to do it manually because my shortcut is not working. Okay, so the only difference here and here is, for example, if you initialize the variable iteration 11 in the beginning, and when it will go to the while, it will say like, oh, okay, while iteration is less than 10. So to distinguish, because we are doing kind of same processing inside the iteration loops, I'm gonna put here some sort of integer, some unique integer string value to distinguish both of these. So I will say while loop. I will say inside while loop, and then I will say with a value of, and then the 0 index will be my value, which is iteration. I will copy the same and I will put it here, and I will say inside do while loop with a value of whatever iteration is. So to talk about the difference is like this. When it will go here, it will see the value of the iteration. It will say, oh no, actually it's 11. So it will actually never go inside the loop, and this body will never execute. But if we talk about do while, it actually iterate, and then after this execution of this block, it check the condition. And here the condition check is before the execution of the block. Let's hit run and see which one is true and which one is not. Okay, so I'm gonna minimize this one so that we can see the code block here, and I'm also gonna put this one. So you see it said inside do while loop with a value of 11. So what's happening here is, because the value of iteration is 11 here, it came here, it checked the value of iteration, which was actually more than 10, which is 11. It never went inside, and it actually passed it here. It said, okay, do something. It came inside here, iteration, and it actually incremented the value of iteration as well. So after this loop, it will be 12. But then it went here and see if the value is less than or equal to 10, but it's actually 12, and it never executed it again. So to demonstrate it a little bit more, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go with the debug mode, and to do so I have to put a breakpoint here. So I'm gonna select this line. I wanna put the debug one, and I'll go here. I'll press F5. It's gonna take a little bit because I didn't debug the program for a while. Cool. It's taking just a little bit. Okay, now here inside the program in debug mode, and to go like step one by one, if you go here, it says like if you press F10, it's equivalent to step-by-step execution. I am going to press F10, and okay, so there was a shortcut for my F10 button, so I'm gonna go with this one, and it was here. And inside while loop, it will check the value of the iteration, which is 11. It actually didn't go inside this loop, but it jumped to the do while loop body, and it's now inside that body. It executed this console log, and it actually, now you can see like the value of iteration is 11, but after this line it's gonna be 12. As you can see, the value of iteration is now 12. Now it will go to the while condition, and it will check if the value of iteration is still less than or equal to 10. Then it will execute the body again, otherwise it will just skip that. Now it's checking the condition as the value of iteration was 12, so it actually skipped the loop. And now it's kind of finishing the program itself. So that was it. So yeah, that was all about loops in C Sharp. See you guys in next episode where we are gonna discuss the conditional statements in C Sharp. Have a